Are we gonna be quiet? Are you gonna be quiet? Are we gonna, sit still? No? So what was I gonna say now? Hello everyone, I'm Corvin Rad and this is Plant Basics. In this video I'll be doing a Anthurium Clarinervium 2-year update to kind of see what my plant has done in the past 2 years. This is actually the plant that was in my first ever YouTube video, and if you've been following my channel from the start, you'll know that this plant was actually quite small, but now it's like gotten quite big. One of the tricks for me in how I got this plant to grow this nicely was I've just been keeping it in the same spot for like almost on and off for the entire 2 years that I've had it. I did for a small period place it on a shelf upstairs in my office / like grow room, but it didn't seem to grow as well up there. So I moved it down to the small table close to the window, and there it has actually just been thriving and putting out leaf after leaf, and this year is newest leaf. And yeah, I'm quite excited. I've been waiting a long time for this plant, to start really getting big. This plant has grown quite a bit since then. It's absolutely beautiful and it's put out these gorgeous leaves. It actually, what's so funny about it is that it stayed small for quite a long time, and then all of a sudden when I repotted it, it just started sending out new leaf after new leaf. And I think that this was the first leaf it actually put out that was of a reasonable size, and now the newest leaf seems to be this one, and you can also see that will become quite big. I'm super happy with this plant. It is my absolutely favorite Anthurium, and it has actually been quite easy to care for as well, because it grows in my upstairs study, or in my grow room as I affectionately call it. It gets in summer it gets bright light but no sun, but now in autumn and going into winter it is kind of get some of the soft afternoon rays. It's not fussy at all. I've never noticed any pests on this plant. It seems to be quite resistant to any pest pressures, which is like amazing, because so many other plants like calatheas, alocaceas are just magnets for pests. But I think that anthuriums across the board generally are not as affected by pests. But one thing I will say is just watch out for scale, because I have a feeling that scale could possibly sit on, especially on the back sides of the leaves. Well, one of the great things for me about this plant is that because the leaves are rather big and easy to handle, if you see any pests or anything, it's quite easy just to wipe them off with a cloth, and here you go. What I did do with this plant for a while is I kept it up on a shelf in my study, but it didn't seem to grow as well, because I think that it wasn't getting enough light. And that is a very important thing with your plants, is of course to experiment and to put them in different spaces and just see how they react. So I now know that this plant loves to be on the small little table in front of the window, and that's where it's been pretty much permanently for the last, I'll say 1.5 years, because obviously before I had on the shelf at the back. You would have seen it in some of my previous videos that I shot up there. I planted this plant in a very well draining potting mix, and it's not in a need for a repot yet because I don't see any roots coming through the bottom. I will put a link up to my like previous care video for this plant, and I will also be doing a full comprehensive Anthurium Clarinervium video in the near future as sort of an update and continuation of my first video. I keep my plant nice and moist. This is not a plant I found that responds well to drying out completely, like Anthurium Andreum, which is the common flowering Anthurium that we all know. But I try to keep this plant moist but not wet. And what's important with that is you never then want your plant to be standing in any water. Yeah, what else can I tell you about my plants? It's just for me such a low maintenance plant. And I also figured out why it does this with its leaves. I don't know if you can see, but the leaves are kind of pointed towards the floor. And I think that has something to do with light that reflects up from the floor. So the plant automatically turns its leaves down to the bottom because Anthuriums and Monsteras have this thing at the back, and now I'm trying to remember what this is called. A Geniculum? No. Anyway, I'll put the word up on the video, and this allows your plant to kind of turn more easily towards light. You'll also see this on your Monstera deliciosa. It's also one of the ways how you can distinguish an Anthurium from a philodendron, because philodendrons don't have this little bumpy thing at the back of their leaves. So I can definitely say if you are someone who likes the velvet Anthuriums, you can definitely add one of these to your collection. And the great thing about this plant is that I know that in certain areas it is expensive. Even here in South Africa it is quite expensive, but it's kind of like, for me, I think worth the price in a way, because it's such an easy to care for plant. It's not really a plant that I'm kind of thinking, oh my gosh, you know, it's gonna die, you know, as soon as I do this or that or whatever. It's also quite tolerant of lower humidity, even though I try to keep the humidity high, but it is tolerant of lower humidity, because I've had seen where I've actually like forgotten to turn on the dehumidifier. So sorry guys, my African grey is just absolutely going like crazy with like playtime over there. Alex? Yeah, so if you've always wanted an Anthurium Clarinervium, or you're thinking of getting one, I can definitely recommend this plant, because here you can see this has been my first plant 2 years later. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and that you found my tips useful. No. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, my little 2-year update on my Anthurium Clarinervium. It's actually so funny that for me this plant represents the growth of my YouTube channel, because it's the plant that was in my first ever video. If you have any questions about Anthurium Clarinervium, or any questions in general, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to see more videos like these.